Mister, our mommy won't wake up. That is where the story begins. Not with the rain, not with the man, not with the city that has been holding its breath around him for 11 years. 7 words, delivered by a 2-year-old who does not know what she is holding, who does not know what she has just reached up and taken hold of. Han Seok-jin has not been surprised in 4 years. Not by rivals, not by law enforcement with their wiretaps and their carefully assembled files that never quite have enough. Not by the men in his own organization who occasionally forget who is running things and require a reminder that tends to be quiet and permanent. He has engineered his entire existence, every room he enters, every word he speaks, every silence he chooses, around one principle. The man who controls his own reactions controls everything else. He is standing in the rain on Chungmuro Street at 10:47 in the evening, with 2 small hands wrapped around 2 of his fingers, and he has not moved in 4 seconds. 4 seconds does not sound like long. For Han Seok-jin, it is a structural collapse. The men who work for him, 3 of whom are within 20 meters right now, hands loose at their sides, have never seen anything stop him. Not a phone call, not a threat. Not the time a man pulled a weapon on him outside a restaurant on this very street, and Seok-jin kept walking toward his car while giving an instruction over his shoulder, because the instruction was sufficient and the weapon was no longer his problem. 2 toddlers in inadequate coats have stopped him in 4 seconds. They are identical. He cannot tell them apart, and he will not be able to for longer than he would ever admit. They are both looking up at him with the fearlessness that only exists in people who are either very powerful or very small, and these 2 have not yet learned they are the latter. They found him in a crowd. They crossed the street to reach him specifically. One of them has said the 7 words. The other is still holding his fingers with an expression that says she is prepared to wait as long as it takes. The comment section is going to fight about what he does next. Someone will say he should have called the police and kept walking. Someone else will say the moment he looked down at those faces, the police were never going to be the answer. Both of those people will be right about different things. Drop which side you're on below, because this story turns on this exact moment. He looks at the one who spoke, then the one who didn't. Then the stairwell behind them, a door set below street level, propped open with a piece of broken concrete. Then back down. Where, he says, that is the entire sentence. The one who spoke points at the stairwell. And Han Seok-jin follows 2 toddlers down a flight of concrete stairs into a basement apartment belonging to a woman he does not know exists, for a reason he could not explain if someone put a gun to his head. And believe me, that has happened, and he has never once failed to explain himself. The apartment is small, not small in the way of carelessness, small in the way of a woman who has made a deliberate accounting of what she actually needs and arranged it with a precision that costs nothing except everything she has. Not a single unnecessary object. Every surface clean with the intensity of someone who cannot control much but has decided they will control this. 2 small beds against the far wall made with military corners. He notices this immediately. He knows what military corners mean, and they do not mean she was in the military. They mean she learned that a made bed is a thing that cannot be taken from you. He steps inside. Jada Brown is on the couch. Late 20s and burning. He can see it from where he stands, the flush, the shallow, uneven breathing, the way her body has made itself small without her permission. She is wearing clothes she did not plan to be unconscious in. A sweater with a pen still clipped to the pocket. Socks with small holes at the heel she would have addressed if she had known anyone was going to see them. An overturned glass on the floor near her hand that used to have water in it. She reached for it at some point and did not complete the motion. One twin goes to her immediately, pats her arm, says something soft that is not for him. The other is still standing beside Seok-jin, looking up. He looks at the refrigerator. He does not know why he opens it. It is not his refrigerator, not his apartment, not his business. He opens it anyway. There is enough food for the twins. That is the accurate statement. For a woman calculating this down to the last measurement, putting her children first without announcement, without martyrdom, there is enough food for her daughters. For herself, there is the remainder. He closes the refrigerator. He does not change his expression because he does not have one right now. He takes out his phone, gives an address, says 4 words, bring her, no questions, and ends the call. The doctor arrives within 20 minutes. The arrangement he has with her is built on mutual benefit and mutual silence, the kind that exists in every city where official channels are a liability. She takes Jada's temperature, unpacks her bag, works without commentary. The fever is high, approaching the edge of dangerous. She's been like this for how long? The doctor says, narrating for the chart that does not exist. One of the twins holds up 3 fingers. 3 days, alone, with 2 toddlers. And she did not call anyone. There is a phone on the kitchen counter, so it is not that she could not call. It is that she did not. That is a different and much larger piece of information. Seokjin sits in the chair that is too small for him. It is the only chair. Clearly hers, a book on the floor beside it, face down to hold the page, spine broken in the way spines break when a book has been carried more than it has been set down. He sits in it. The doctor leaves after an hour. The fever starts coming down. At some point, the twins fall asleep. One curls on the couch beside her mother, careful as someone who has navigated this body for 3 days and knows the territory. The other walks to Seokjin's chair, looks at him for a moment, climbs the arm, and settles against his side. He does not move. She reaches for his hand in sleep, and he lets her take it, and he looks at the wall. Not at her, at the wall. He is a man who has sat in rooms where his next decision would end someone's freedom, someone's livelihood, occasionally someone's life, and sat there with perfect certainty. He is sitting in a chair that is too small for him, and a 2-year-old has his hand, and he is looking at the wall the way a man looks at a wall when he is keeping something from rising to his face. Here is something the people who fear him do not know. He grew up in a room like this one, not this city. Not this country, but a room where the walls understood survival and had given up on comfort. He knows where the draft is coming from without looking for it because his body remembers. He refolds the blanket that has slipped from the couch, Jada's blanket, the only one, and the fold is the fold of someone whose hands learned this young. He checks the window locks at 2 in the morning without leaving the chair. Just turns his head, assesses, turns back. He does not perform any of this. It is simply what his hands do. In the long part of the night, Jada's eyes open. 30 seconds. She is not fully conscious, the fever, the exhaustion, 3 days of wait, but her eyes open and she sees the room. Her daughters, the twin against her side. And then him. Han Seokjin, sitting in her chair, her other daughter's hand in his, in a room he should not be in. She looks at him for as long as she can hold it. He looks back. She closes her eyes. The audience cannot tell, and this is deliberate, whether she understood what she saw or whether she will wake remembering none of it. That uncertainty sits in the room like a third person. Morning comes the way it comes in basements, not with light, but with a shift in the sound from the street. Seokjin is awake and aware of being in a room that is not his before he is aware of anything else. The twin is still against his side. Jada is watching him from the couch. She is more herself. The fever has broken to something manageable. Her eyes are clear enough to be assessing, and they are doing exactly that. He watches her watch him and does not look away, and she does not look away from him, and that is the first thing he understands about her specifically. She does not do that either. She knows what category he belongs to without knowing his name. This city has men like him the way old houses have load-bearing walls, invisible, until you touch the wrong thing. She left everything she knew to get away from that category and built this immaculate small room, this careful arithmetic, on the other side of it. And he is sitting in her chair with her daughter's hand. She sits up slowly, moves the twin beside her, puts her feet on the floor. The twins didn't eat dinner, she says, not to him, just a fact that has to be addressed before anything else. The doctor left a note. He nods toward the counter. She reads it standing up, still in yesterday's clothes, absorbing every word before responding to any of it. Sets it down, goes to the refrigerator, stands in front of it with her back to him, making a calculation she has made 1,000 times, and he has seen the inside of once. You should eat something, he says. Thank you for last night. She does not turn around. I don't know what I can offer you. Not helplessness. A precise accounting. She knows men like him do not do things without a return structure, and she is being direct about the fact that she has inventoried what she has and found no viable exchange. Nothing, he says. She turns around then, looking for the lie, the trap, the clause buried in that word. She is good at finding those things. She was trained by circumstance to be very good at that. She does not find it. That is when she is afraid. Not of him, not exactly. Of the version of him that does not want anything. Because in her entire life, men like him have always wanted something, and the ones who said they didn't were the most expensive. The twin wakes, decides both adults are acceptable, slides off the chair to find her sister. The buffer thins. He stands. He is very tall in this room, and he knows what he takes up in a small space. He steps back slightly, not performing submission, just making the geometry less pointed. She notices. He sees her notice. He looks at the apartment one last time. "How long have you lived here?" he says. 14 months. He picks up his jacket, moves to the door, stops at the threshold. "Keep the doctor's number, if the fever comes back." "I don't have the doctor's number." "You will." He leaves. The audience watches him go and calls it a power move. That reading is available. It is also incomplete. The question about 14 months was not casual. He has been in this apartment. He has seen everything: the refrigerator, the locks, the military corners, the book on the floor, the 2 toddlers who found him on a street because their mother's body gave out and they did not know anyone else to ask. That question is the beginning of a different kind of accounting. The audience will not know what it means until it is complete. 3 days pass. They belong to Jada, fever down, daughters fed, back to the job she cannot afford to lose, rebuilding the routine that holds their life together. She does not think about him. She thinks about him. She refuses to do either productively, and the days pass. On the 3rd day, a woman arrives at the door. Early 30s, efficient, a bag of groceries, a phone in an unmarked case, the air of someone who received a specific instruction, carried it out, and has nothing additional to offer. "From who?" Jada says. The woman leaves the groceries, leaves the phone on top of the bag, goes back up the stairs. Jada stands in the doorway watching the stairwell after she's gone. She can hear Mia and Nia behind her. She can feel the weight of the groceries, more than a bag, a restocking, someone who saw her refrigerator and responded to what they saw. She picks up the phone. One contact, no name, a number. She holds it for a long time, because calling is not simple. Calling means accepting not the groceries, not the phone, those she could rationalize. Calling means stepping 1 inch toward a man standing at the border of her life that she has spent 14 months making uncrossable. Mia climbs her leg, says "Mama," the way she says it when it is not a request but a confirmation that she knows where her mother is. Jada calls. He answers on the first ring. Not the second, the first. He has been waiting. They both know this now, and neither of them will say it. "You saw my refrigerator," she says. A pause. "Yes." "You didn't need to do that." "I know." Silence. The silence of 2 people who have decided not to pretend this is simpler than it is. "Why did you stay?" she says. He does not answer immediately. She waits. "I check the locks," he says. She is quiet for a moment. That's not an answer. "I know." Then from her quiet, "Thank you for the locks." Not thank you for staying. Not for the groceries or the doctor or the long night in the too small chair. For the locks. Because she saw him. 30 seconds of consciousness in the middle of the night, and she saw him turn his head toward the windows from across the room, and she filed it, and the fever took her back under, and she has been carrying it for 3 days. "If something happens," he says, "call that number." "And what happens when you answer?" "I answer, that's what happens." Every calibrated part of her wants to push back. To name the cost of being the person whose number a man like this picks up on the first ring. She knows that cost. She has seen it paid by women she loved. She says, "Okay." Not because she trusts him. Because she is brilliant and exhausted, and she checked the lock herself this morning. The street-level window. The one he would have seen from the chair, and it was broken. And she did not know it was broken, and she has been here 14 months. He knew. In the dark from across a room, he knew. He said nothing and did everything. That is a very specific and very dangerous language, and she is fluent in it because she grew up reading it on the wrong people and has spent every day since trying to forget the vocabulary. She has not forgotten it. She sets the phone down. Nia is at the window, the small rectangle that shows the sidewalk from the knee down, standing on her toes, looking out. Mia is in Jada's lap, half asleep, one hand in her hair. Nia turns from the window. "Mama," she says, "the man." Jada does not ask which man. There is only one man. Nia turns back to the window and Jada sits with her daughter asleep in her lap, staring at that rectangle of street, and the question now living in this apartment like furniture, permanent, arranging everything around itself whether she invited it or not. Han Seokjin does not want anything from her. That is what she cannot solve. Every person she has known with power has wanted something for it, structured their help as debt, returned at a time of their choosing to collect. She has spent her whole life reading the fine print. She is very good at finding it. She cannot find it here. And that is the most frightening thing that has happened to her in 14 months, including the night her body gave out and her daughters went into the rain to find help. Because she can survive a man who wants something. She has survived that before. She knows every exit from that room. She does not know this room yet. She did not know she was that tired. She did not know there was a window lock broken for 14 months that she missed. She did not know her daughters knew something about her body that she could not feel from inside it. Something her scared face does. Some frequency she broadcasts without knowing. That two 2-year-olds read and followed out into the rain to find the one person on that street who checked window locks in the dark without being asked. She has been running a perfect system. There are cracks she stopped being able to see. Mia is fully asleep. Jada carries her to the small bed, tucks her in, goes back to the window where Nia is still standing. She picks her up. Nia points at the street. Jada looks, shoes and ankles and rain. She cannot see what Nia is pointing at. She bounces her the automatic rhythm of 10,000 times, and after a moment Nia stops pointing and puts her head on her mother's shoulder. What Nia was pointing at is not in this episode. Across the city, in a building where the floors are marble and nothing in any room was not chosen, Han Seokjin has a file open on his desk. Not work, an address, 14 months of lease records, a building with 3 code violations. A landlord with connections Seokjin has been aware of for years and has, until 72 hours ago, had no use for. He has use for them now. He makes a call, 30 seconds, done. The violations will be addressed. The building will improve in ways that look like coincidence if you don't know how cities work, and look exactly like what they are if you do. Jada will not know why. She will eventually connect it. She is brilliant. When she does, that conversation will not be comfortable for either of them, and it will not be one she starts from weakness. That is part 2. If you have something to say about that window lock, what it costs, what it offers, whether Jada should ever touch that phone again, like this video and subscribe so you are here when part 2 lands. And tell me in the comments, are you team Jada holds the line, or do you think the line already moved the night he sat in that chair and looked at the wall instead of the child holding his hand? 2 different theories about who he is. Only one of them is right. For now, a city in the rain. A basement apartment that smells like survival and something that just cracked open. A window moving smoothly on new hardware. 2 sleeping toddlers. A woman standing in the middle of her small, immaculate life with a phone on the counter and a question she cannot answer yet. She will get there. So will he. Neither of them has any idea what it is going to cost.